Forgiveness. It's a word that carries a lot of weight, doesn't it? So easy to say, but the depth of forgiveness is something that can drown you before it ever saves you. I've understood forgiveness as a concept and practiced it in simple ways for years, but along those same years, I misunderstood it. I thought it was something that I did for the benefit of someone else, a release for them from the consequences of their actions. What I didn't see, what I couldn't see, was how forgiveness was never about them. It was about me. It was about stepping into the fullness of who I am in Christ, the forgiven and free, and learning to walk in that freedom, unchanged by the opinions or the actions of others. There was a season when my identity felt wrapped up in the pain I carried. I was deeply hurt, unjustly, by people I trusted, people who should have known better. People should have known me and loved me better. See? But instead, they betrayed me. Their words tore at my character, reshaping how other people saw me. But perhaps the hardest part was not the betrayal itself. It was the fact that they painted me as someone I was not. And no matter how much I wanted to prove them wrong, their opinions hung in the air, out of my reach like an unwelcome shadow. I carried their words with me, replaying their accusations and slights in my mind as if revisiting them could undo the damage. I thought if I could fix their perception of me, I could heal. But the truth is, their opinions were never mine to control. And holding on to the offenses did not protect me. It imprisoned me. Unforgiveness is heavy. It's not a weight you hold in your hands. It's one you carry in your soul. It wraps around you and it controls your thoughts, your relationships, and your faith. And for years, I thought my bitterness was justified. After all, I was the victim, right? I told myself I was protecting my heart by keeping my guard up. But in reality, I was reinforcing the walls of a prison that I didn't even realize that I was building. Spiritually, I struggled with this. I knew I was supposed to forgive. The Bible is clear, forgive as the Lord forgave you. But the words were a burden, a standard I couldn't meet. How could I forgive when the wound was so deep and the offender so unrepentant? It wasn't until I truly reflected on who I was and who I am in Christ as a big part of that, that the walls began to crack. I am the forgiven. I am free. I am the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. These aren't just words, they're a reality. If Jesus had forgiven me completely, who am I to hold on to someone else's offense? See, that realization didn't erase the pain. Matter of fact, it didn't even help. I knew that for a very long time, but it did give me the reason and the beginning steps to lay down the weight I'd been carrying. The hardest part, though, wasn't just letting go of the hurt. It was letting go of the need for vindication. Not revenge, not vengeance. But I wanted people to see me, not as the person I was made out to be, but who I truly am. The irony is that I didn't even know who that was. I wanted them to see the love in my heart, the integrity of my character, the person that I knew myself to be. But here's the truth. I had to accept their opinion of me was none of my business. It didn't matter if they never saw the truth or if they never admitted they were wrong or if they never asked for forgiveness. Their validation doesn't define me. God's love did. The moment of clarity came when I realized that my bitterness wasn't affecting them at all. It affected me and the people that I loved, the people close to me. They'd moved on with their lives, and I was stuck replaying the same old recordings like a broken record. I was holding myself hostage, reliving a story that they'd long forgotten. I sat with God one night, and I was honest. I said, I don't want to forgive these people. I want vindication. But deep down, I also wanted something greater than that. I wanted freedom. So So I prayed the most honest prayer I could muster. God, help me release them. Do what only you can do. Forgiveness was not immediate. No, it came slow, in layers. It started with acknowledging the hurt, not minimizing it, not brushing it aside, just letting it be real. I journaled and I wrote down what happened. I named the pain. I put the names down. I put the context down. I put the truth beside it. I named it betrayal, rejection, humiliation. I didn't try to hide it from God or myself. I faced it head on. Then came the harder part, releasing it. Spiritually, I realized forgiveness wasn't about excusing actions or pretending that the pain didn't matter. It was about surrendering my right to validation, to retribution in some sense. Jesus had forgiven me unconditionally and fully, and who was I to hold on to someone else's sin against me when mine had been wiped away? Emotionally, it meant letting go of the story I'd been telling myself. It meant I no longer had to rehearse the offense in my mind. I started praying for them, not for God to change them or show them the truth or what have you, but for their good. And those prayers in the beginning did feel a little forced and hollow, but over time they softened something in me. The day I forgave, I felt the weight lift. It wasn't this grand moment or this majestic drama. It was a quiet shift. I just noticed the chains were gone. I noticed I could breathe after a very long season of not being able to breathe. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean reconciliation, but it meant I was no longer bound to the hurt. Forgiving others taught me something unexpected. How to forgive myself. I'd held myself to impossible standards, replaying my own mistakes as much as I had replayed theirs. But if God's grace was enough for them, it was enough for me too. Trust took longer to rebuild. It wasn't something I handed out freely anymore. It was earned brick by brick. But I learned to trust, and I learned to trust myself again, to trust that I could set boundaries without hardening my heart, that I could be authentic without the care of other people's opinion. I learned to love without fear, boldly, knowing that my identity wasn't tied to anyone else's opinion of me. Forgiveness is a gift I've given myself. It's not about letting someone off the hook. It's about stepping into the freedom that Christ has given me already. It's about remembering that I am loved, forgiven, and free no matter what anyone else says or does. And if I've learned anything, it's this. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's extreme strength. It's choosing to let go of the pain, not because it didn't matter, but because it no longer defines me. And in letting go, I have freedom, not just from their offense, but from the need for their approval. I don't need to be seen or validated by anybody. I'm already seen and known by the one who matters most. And that is enough. Are you listening?